Hello again, WrestleTalkShow fans. I'm your host, Joshua Zimmerman, and this installment we're calling Who's to Blame? We're going to discuss the Matt Hardy situation, the the Soma band just placed on WWE regardless of prescription, uh, and let's get right into that without any frills or anything like that. We'll save that for the end. This is a topic I really want to touch because it's a topic that kind of hits close to home. Matt Hardy, a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, posted a not so interesting YouTube video that more or less aired his dislikes for the company he works for, World Wrestling Entertainment. Showed how worn down he is. People have seen over the last couple months just how worn down he is, how physically unfit for TV he is. He called out the friends of ours, the Pro Wrestling Torch, on first breaking this story when I'm going to agree with Wade Keller. It wasn't anything that a wrestling fan wouldn't want to hear. You'd think there'd be something wrong if you didn't comment on how a wrestler who, in an industry where you spend 90% of your time take or leave with your shirt off and need to be physically fit, need to look like a tough guy, and this guy is showing and airing videos about him partying in hot tubs, drinking like a 20-some-year-old, and just how worn down he is. And to give you a little bit of a background, like we did before, Matt Hardy is the brother of Jeff Hardy. To those who don't know, I'm sure all of you do. And he kind of hasn't had a break since they broke in WWE. WWE made a lot of money off of Jeff, a lot of money, and decent money off of Matt in comparison. And I think up until these videos, up until his discomfort was aired, they really didn't want to deal with it. And now they're put in a position where they have to deal with it. They've taken him off the SmackDown tour. He's no longer on air, and he kind of griped about that. And in my last video regarding this matter, I more or less insinuated that after 90 days, if this is what he wants, after 90 days, his new home's probably going to be TNA. Unless Ring of Honor has some kind of unspoken desire for him, he's probably going to wind up with his brother. And when you see what kind of trouble his brother's in lately, it's kind of, hey, let's go to a brand where we can be worn out together. But that's not really fair to say because TNA prides itself on a schedule that doesn't wear down the wrestlers as bad, but it also isn't entertaining at all. So how is Matt going to maintain a wrestling star status if the company's not even going to bother pushing him in the direction that they need to push him? Kind of breaks into what WWE needs to do. Like I mentioned in the beginning, they've put a permanent ban on the muscle relaxer Soma, which is not a scheduled narcotic, so it can be found online. But my argument with that is anything can be found online. If you want it bad enough and you have, let me put it this way, and I know I'm selling a lot of things out here, but it needs to be addressed. You cannot keep going. It's like doing, I'm going to use the scenario. It's like doing coke for 3 days. Eventually you're going to need to crash and go to sleep. Okay? Any kind of upper, anything. It's not good on the body. And this is being portrayed as the Soma itself. Many wrestlers use it legitimately for pain and help relax muscles that are being used and abused on a nightly basis. And there's a handful of these guys that are taking it as prescribed, taking it as they need to take it, and not looking for the kickback side effects. But there's also another handful that are just taking it like somebody would smoke a joint to relax, which I think is wrong because the permanent ban basically means that even legitimate cases are going to be taken off. It's not really going to matter the stance they're taking. It's not really going to matter if you have a legitimate need, which I think is wrong. I think that you should be paying this Dr. Black, as mentioned in a previous video. He's the director and overseeing doctor of the WWE Wellness Program. And if he has you on Soma, it shouldn't be an overall ban. It should be, okay, we recognize this drug as a problem. Now we're going to take every case, every patient, every wrestler that's on Soma, and we're going to monitor them month in to month out. Where we have our screenings, we're going to look for the Somas, we're going to detect them, but we're also going to reserve those cases where the wrestlers are using it legitimately and not put them in this barrel with the rest of them for these guys that are just doing it to get high. Because, like I said, there are a handful of those guys that are just doing it to chill. And it's a bad precedence. It's a reliable drug. It's a workable drug. It works great if used as directed. And I think it's an unfair precedence to send that you're going to ban it completely just so you don't have to spend a little more money and broaden your wellness policy. And that's really all it is. If they broaden the wellness policy and keep their Soma cases in check as you would someone on a narcotic, if you're that worried about it, then watch it. Monitor it. And if you see somebody foul up, somebody who's on it who shouldn't be on it, then they get in trouble. Somebody who's on it, who's been on it, who needs it, just make sure the amounts aren't going higher than the believed tolerance. If they're taking if you find insane levels, then there's no way this wrestler is just taking it to manage the pain, because there is a difference. And the way drug testing goes, depending on how little or how much you want to spend, it's been told to me that you can narrow down just how much of whatever is in someone's system. You can narrow down the last time they took it. And that basically comes back to who's to blame. And this is WWE. You're basically paying these guys, young guys, insane amounts of money to perform in the ring. And then, when they need treatment, or they need to ease their pain because they're a top drawing superstar, and they want to stay in that limelight, they're given the impression that I need to do this on the low key, because if I come up with a legitimate injury, WWE, of course, before it gets any worse, is going to take me out and let me rest. But resting hurts my career. So they're given this idea that if I manage it myself, I can still go to work and still be on top, which should not be the precedence that's agreed by WWE as a whole. It should be, we're going to save your spot. We see you're in trouble. We care about your well-being. We care about your long-term health in this company. And we want, when you leave this company, to not see you strung out and bottomed out. We're going to expand the wellness policy, and we're going to monitor what we're worried about a little better, rather than just doing this blanket fix-it statement, oh, nobody's allowed to have it. It's unfair. I have cerebral palsy, dabbling a little bit into my personal life here. I have cerebral palsy, and I use Soma. Soma, again, a great muscle relaxer. It carries risks as all drugs do, if not taken in moderation. But I know that me and my doctor, operative words there, are monitoring what I'm supposed to take. And if my doctor sees that my levels are too high, he takes me off the drug or gives me a rest on it, or he would suggest something else. That has not come to that point, but the idea is to have the type of relationship with your doctor, especially as big as WWE is, and how these young guys draw the big money for Vince. It just seems like as long as he's making money and he doesn't have any complaints, there's nothing wrong. And that couldn't be further from the truth, because Brock Lesnar said, multiple wrestlers have spoken out about how you can find hydrocodone, how you can find Percocet. You can find just about anything in wrestling that you can on the mean streets. So, again, to the wrestler, the locker room is the streets. And I seriously doubt, as mentioned in previous videos, we can dabble in the steroids. I don't think Vince is out there going pro steroids, pro painkillers. But again, I think that if you don't have any direct gripes or the doctor clears you, then there's no more questions asked. There's no more monitoring. It's just, oh, this wrestler's fine. He passed his mandated drug test for the wellness policy, and we're just going to go on that. The doctor said he's good. And these guys, more and more guys, a whole fleet of wrestlers are dead because of drug use. And we're not supposed to make a big issue out of this. It's not supposed to be a big deal when you see guys in their early 30s, late 30s, borderline 40s that are dropping down dead after you've used them for 10, 20 years. They have to be on these drugs because of the wear and tear that was put on their body or is being put on their body. And then you're going to try and distance yourself or solve the problem by writing off the drug altogether. It's going to open doors, in my opinion. It's going to open doors just like smoke did and all the other drugs in the world, where the user's just going to find a way to mask the fact that they're using it. For every drug test, there's one guy smarter that knows how to beat it. Hate to put it like that, but it's becoming a proven fact. If you're worried about passing a drug test, you do some research, or you ask somebody and you figure out what dilutes it, what masks it, etc., etc. I think it's going to create a whole different firestorm, because these people that legitimately need it are going to need to think that they need to hide to do it. When, again, all you have to do is monitor your people. And what it says with this blanket statement further is, we don't want to take the time to monitor our people. Our wellness policy, we believe, is in check when it's falling apart at the seams. Matt Hardy is not the first. This is not a bash on Matt Hardy. Has never been. This is about Vince McMahon and how he treats his workers ultimately. And again, I hope the Blumenthal investigation enlightens this. But for the guys that aren't doing anything wrong, that are just trying to stay pain-free after they perform for McMahon, a doctor put it best to me once: no one deserves to be in pain. And when you have to hide the fact that you're getting pain relief, that's a problem. That means that your own company would rather ban drugs that help altogether for most, rather than just help you and watch you. That's all this would take. Enhance the wellness policy, WWE. Take the time to care about your superstars for more than just a drug test, or more than just when they tear something, getting them back on top. These guys are scared to begin with that wrestling's going down and people are going to start losing their jobs. They just watched a whole fleet of wrestlers with the brand split and the buyouts get cut out. They don't wrestle anymore. So just change your approach. It can be fixed. It can be monitored. You just have to take the time. Until next time, WrestleTalkShow.webs.com. See you later.